Lou with Upward Sports. And so what I'll do is I'll have my contact information as well sent out in case any of the coaches have a question about the PowerPoint or any rules or any information for flag football for this year. Let me go ahead and get set up here. Okay. I'm not sure who's in charge of the screen sharing rule.
I don't know if that's yeah, let me see if I can, I gotta say, add you, right?
Right.
Oh, that's the wrong button. Did that do it?
Let's try it out. Yep, that did it.
Perfect.
All right, give me a moment. Let me set this up. All right, give me a thumbs up if everybody can see my screen here. Awesome. All right, so Upward Flag Football, we're Northside Baptist Church. I'm excited to present this. I'm excited to see another successful season to start for Upward Flag Football for your church. As we know that the pandemic's going on, as much as kids are cooped up in the house like puppies in a cage, I know the parents are probably feeling the same way. They want to get back out with their kids being active. So it is a blessing to see a lot of volunteers here willing and able to spend some time here and leading some teams for this league. So we're going to jump right into the first slide here. Why does coaching matter? Now, obviously, as you see, you know, this statement here that coaches are the front line of ministry and are critical to connecting kids to Jesus. I'm actually a coach and currently a coach here in the basketball world. I've been coaching for over a decade, from the professional level all the way to amateur. And I can tell you this quote from Billy Graham here, I keep it close to me, close to my chest. Billy Graham stated before that a coach will impact more people in 1 year than the average person will in an entire lifetime. That is so true. I can't even tell you how many testimonies of kids that have come back and called me and said, "Hey, coach, you know, just the little, you know, pros and cons of their lives now, of how much the sport has touched their lives, but more importantly, how much the relationship one-on-one between myself and that child has elevated them with maturity and also, you know, moving forward and handling responsibilities in the sport world, but more importantly in their personal life." So, you know, with coaching coming up for this season, it's very important that your integrity shows the way you act as a coach, more importantly than how you speak to a child. So why do we need good coaches? Number one, when youth sports are only concerned with performance, it states that the emphasis ignores the other essential components that are key to a child's development. Also, many coaches, they'll teach the physical part of the sport, but this sport is really mentally adaptive, socially, and also spiritual elements to helping the participants to become a better person. Also, you can experience in sports ministry, you can address in the development of that mental, of that athleticism as well, with spirituality and also socially for these kids. I think that the coach is the beacon of light for these children and developing all four of these classes here. And believe it or not, the kids are going to follow the coaches. Kids are going to follow the coaches, and they need to set the example before the children and also before the parents too. So, essentials of coaching. As you see this acronym MASS, obviously earlier the M stands for mentally. So you want to develop the players mentally. You grow the confidence within that player, help with the decision making with on the field, on the court actions. Also, you'll have this cognitive self-regulation that the players can develop. being able to have focus and to control their emotions during the participation of the sport. The A for MAS stands for athletic, basically athletically developing the players. 24% of youth from the ages of 6 to 17 have at least 60 minutes of physical activity each day. I would have loved to see the percentage 20 years ago, because it seems like kids now don't like to play outside. They are allergic to playing outside. So I think it's very important now as coaches to motivate the children to get back to being outside. I was talking to another friend of mine who was just saying how 10th through 12th grades back then looked like they had wife and kids in the stands when they played sports. Now these kids, they look like they're middle school and high school, right? This similar to like this malnutrition age that's going on. So I think it's very important with this only 24% of youth 6 through 17. I would love to see next year that percentage jump up nationally. More importantly, for this league here, I would love for this league to be the example for the community to get kids back out to playing physical activity each day. Benefits of physical activity. It'll include stronger bones, muscles, development to make them stronger, your brain and heart health, improving that, and lowering the risk of diabetes and heart disease. There are a lot of children dealing with that today. The age is dwindling down, younger and younger, of kids being diabetic. That's a lot of staying in the house or inactivity and just eating their days away with sweets and sugars, etc. Getting kids involved, requires making sure that they're having fun, not playing through the kids as a coach, but more importantly, understanding that the kids want to have fun. That's the reason why they're out there. Teaching the game by focusing on the basic fundamentals, establishing that first, and then talk about winning. Believe it or not, establishing those fundamentals first improves the percentage of you winning consistently. You'll win a game here or there if you focus on winning, maybe almost the whole season, but it looks bad if you win the entire season undefeated, but your kids didn't look better from day one to the end of the season. We want the kids to develop to where when they leave your team, other coaches, other peers see that the fundamentals have grown in your children you coached. So you also, in the essentials of coaching, want to promote developing spiritually, all these players spiritually. We have a couple things here, from practice devotions to coach participant relationships to coach parent relationships. Within those devotions for practice, you can plant a lot of seeds of discovery of Jesus Christ in those devotions. I know a lot of times in practice, we want to focus on the sport aspect, but taking that time of focusing on the devotion plants that seed for that child. There are a lot of kids that don't get a chance to know who Jesus is. I actually am shocked at how many kids. I have a buddy who works in the school system. I have a couple buddies do, and they're teachers, and they're shocked at how many children just naturally do not know about Jesus. And so this is an opportunity for you as a coach to plant that seed. Once you plant that seed, let the Lord water that seed for it to grow, but make sure you're planting that seed by taking time during the devotions. That coach participant relationship, it's a great way to influence on these players' lives. Taking that part seriously, allowing that relationship to grow, not so much just feeding into the child, but receiving some feedback from the child throughout the season, throughout practice time, throughout game time. Actually learning the emotions, the personalities of each player will help your team greatly, but more importantly, help your relationship with that child and even elevate the opportunity of that child receiving the devotion. Also, the parent relationship is really big. Having that child participant relationship is great. That allows you to benefit on that parent relationship by allowing that parent to trust you from just what the child has been going through throughout the season. You're going to have these regular conversations with the parent, about the player's development, his or her actions on and off the field. But to be able to do that, have to start with the relationship with the participant, and the parents are going to follow suit right behind. So last of the acronym MAS, you have socially, right? You want to develop the players socially. Through team sports, these children are going to learn how to interact with each other. Well, we want to make sure they interact with a positive mindset. We don't want negativity. We don't want unsportsmanlike conduct, basically, amongst the kids, where they're belittling each other, putting each other down for not succeeding in a small goal that you have for the team, right? If the kid isn't running faster by practice 3, we want the players to uplift that child, to help that child develop to become better in the skill. More importantly, developing that child's confidence. If the coach is able to establish that amongst the team, then it's really cool to sit back and watch your team grow each other's confidence by supporting each other. I remember the Bible speaks about, when one Christian falls, I'm paraphrasing a little, but when one Christian falls, we need to have another Christian there to help us up. And we need to establish that mindset when it comes to having our players interact in a positive way. We want our participants to navigate the ups and downs when it comes to the sport, encouraging each other. You're not going to win every game. You're not going to catch every ball. You're not going to throw a successful ball. So we want to make sure that they can navigate the ups and downs of the game and stay encouraged to play. Complex situations amongst the game with the teammates, also with the competitors, with the team that they're versus. It's very important to keep that sportsmanship, keep that positivity, but stay competitive at the same time. And then learning to be unselfish. That's a very big thing when it comes to especially younger kids in the sport world, is that, take that out their mindset that they have to run the ball or throw the ball every time or score all the touchdowns, but to be unselfish. It's very important that they grasp this ability to be unselfish, because when they leave this generation that we're dealing with right now, from social media, that should tell you how selfish our world has become. We want to establish a servantry mindset that Jesus has established with the Word of God, that we can apply it with our integrity as coaches by showing unselfishness first, and then letting the team follow suit behind. So we got to understand who you're coaching here, right? It's important to know who you're coaching participants, right? You're coaching the team, then you're coaching yourself. You're the salt and light for the team. You're that beacon of light. I think I mentioned that before. You're that beacon of light that allows the players to know who to come to, and to know basically the integrity of Jesus Christ by how we walk. So we need to make sure that we're able to coach all 3 facets: participants, the team, and ourselves, so we can have a successful team, organization, and season. So, hands, the athletic skills, the conditioning, the physical development, I think that's understood with the basics and fundamentals. We also talked before about the confidence, decision-making, and the mental strength. That's the head part of what you're coaching. Also, you're coaching heart, the courage, right? Encouragement, that sense of self and sense of purpose, of the will to actually perform to the best of that child's ability. And what stories you can share that you've seen growth in, right, for the season. It's a blessing to hear as a child, nonetheless an adult. It's great to hear this as well. But I know a child would love to hear how they've developed from week 1 to week 5. Make sure you're sharing these stories. Make sure you're jotting down little notes here and there, so you can elevate your team's confidence by reminding them where they started from and where they are now. So how do participants have a great experience this season, right? I am all about being organized. Man, be organized. I know we are busy as adults, especially we have families, but being organized is very important. Children follow suit on what the leader presents. So if we're unorganized, players are going to be unorganized. Teams are going to be unorganized. Parents are going to be unorganized. If we are organized and ready for practice, then that same order will be organized and ready for practice. As a parent, it is very discouraging when I take my oldest to volleyball practice and there's no organization. It makes me want to not work hard myself and getting my child there. More importantly, just trusting the coach on maybe some decision making she may have for my child. If you're unorganized yourself, I might feel a little hesitant on trusting you on any opinions you may have in the sport, more importantly, in that relationship with my child. So it can be stretched out that organization, not just being on time for practice or games, but more importantly, it could stretch out to relationships. So try to set aside that 45 to 60 minutes to prepare and pray for your practices. Teach rules of the game. That's really important. Some of these kids probably never played the sport, right? This could be their first time. So don't just run through the rules and expect the children to know them. Review the rules. Some of these kids have played and they've played in different leagues. They probably forgot some of these rules. So make sure you're reviewing the rules with your team. And make sure, as experienced coaches, to have some tips on how to prepare for practice. There are some experienced coaches. I would love for you guys to fellowship amongst yourselves as coaches. Some of you have great background experience in sports that you may be able to share amongst other coaches in your league that can help, prepare them to be organized. Fellowship and network amongst each other so your league is successful and not just the team within the league. Also, again, I'm reiterating, but teach sportsmanship with that competitive mindset, with a strong competitive spirit. Help the players learn, these little elements of sportsmanship and a growth mindset. The coaches have to show both of these, sportsmanship and growth mindset. They have to show this first before the players and the parents can follow suit. Always have a positive reaction, even when kids make mistakes. I like to use this example when I'm doing any skill training or any coaching. When kids make mistakes, when a child is a baby, they're not running a 4.2 flat like they're Usain Bolt. You don't come out walking, you come out crawling. To see a child to keep trying to stand up, they fall so many times, but that allows the brain to develop. These kids' brains are still developing. So when kids make mistakes, I usually applaud them. I clap it up. I bring a lot of energy to break that embarrassment, number one, but number two, to allow them to know how proud I am for them to go outside the box to try their best to keep developing the skill set, because that allows them to understand it's okay to make the mistakes in the sport. It's okay to make mistakes. Let's try to keep going past it, doing the right things, the correct things, right? Correct fundamentals, but your brain is getting stronger and smarter, developing. So now when the child sees that they're not making as many mistakes, their confidence grows. So please take that little nugget there and apply it to your team. Very important for the coach to show the sportsmanship and growth mindset first. And also communicate effectively. This is similar to what I just explained about, helping the child grow the growth mindset. Communicate effectively, right? Same thing with parents here. Inform parents with an email or text every week, reminding them of practice, or more importantly, you can just talk about the positive things that your team is doing every week if you like to share with the parents. As a parent, I would love to hear how my child or my child's team is doing every week. Share the team page for an upward flag football team page. Also, you can speak with the players on their level. Make sure to demonstrate and teach the drills, but speak to them on their level. That's a great way of communicating as well. Using positive language is a great way as well. But again, encourage them, encourage your players, encourage the parents to make sure that they're establishing these things with their child away from your practice field or your game field, so that the child is coming back next practice or next game, and that parent is able to support what you're teaching their child throughout the week. Communicating effectively, is very crucial to a successful team and a successful season. Lead the practice devotion. Again, this is your opportunity to plant the seed. It is so important. If you need help, please do not be hesitant on asking for help. Ask for help if you need help with the devotion. You can ask for a parent to volunteer, a parent that you know. You can ask for another assistant coach you may have. But please make the devotions important to your team. There are kids that don't know about the Lord. And I actually have a story of a kid that I trained in basketball from he was 9 years old. He's a senior in high school. And all this time he didn't know the Lord. And I, gave my time and just kept training, not just for him to be successful in the sport, but as a person and holding values. And lo and behold, this past summer, he was having a tough time, and he came and he wanted to get closer to the Lord. and he gave his life to Christ with myself. The Lord has used me as that beacon of light for him. So now he's joined my church. He's established in the church. And if I would have known this years ago, man, I just thought about how much more I could have done to present it. But I planted what the Lord allowed me, to plant that seed early by expressing how the Lord has touched my life, how the Lord can touch that child's life. And I can only imagine how it will touch his parents' life as he's given his life to Christ. So, that this devotion piece during the practice, even though it may seem like you're just going through it and kids may not understand, there are parts of this devotion that's going to be planted in that child's mind, especially when they're in times of need. The Holy Spirit just wants you to be an instrument for him. So take this devotion, use this written devotion, discuss questions from that practice plan we have as well. Make sure you utilize an opportunity to express how Jesus Christ and how important Jesus Christ is. So, how to help participants have a great experience this season, right? Create a positive team culture. Begin setting, positive expectations on the behavior of the team, little goals here and there for the team and specific players. Encourage the team individually to support each other with positive words, with positive actions. And again, view mistakes as teaching opportunities. Before you know it, the more you keep viewing the mistakes as teaching opportunities, your team will start doing that amongst themselves, and they'll start encouraging each other and building each other up whenever they make a mistake. So, what are some ways that you have seen coaches create a positive team culture? Ask yourself that. Always remind yourself, what are some ways that you've seen? I always like to follow a couple of coaches I'm really fond of. Like there's a coach at Baylor, but there's a mentor of mine who coached in high school and college, and I love hearing feedback from him and his opinion on some things when it comes to my self-coaching, because it's great to soak in positive opinions about team culture and what that person has endured. So please make sure if you have anybody that or if it's amongst yourselves, network, communicate, hear the pros and cons about what you're doing, what that team's doing, and learn from each other to create a positive league culture instead of just a positive team culture. So game day attitude, man, I know each and every coach here has probably had a bad day coaching. I mean, if I had more hands, I'd raise them all up. A lot of times when we have, I don't like to say bad referees, when we have hard to see, hard to listen to referees, I'll say it that way if I can say it that way, for better lack of words. Referees that are hard-headed sometimes, that you may feel like they're not calling the calls right, not seeing the play the way you're seeing it. One thing I like to remember is, this statistic. This is from a basketball statistic, but it's a great statistics. I always remind myself when I get that feeling like, man, these referees are terrible, right? So it is statistically, scientifically shown that NBA referees, these are the highest level, they make the correct call 60% of the time. I think a little bit over 60%. This is the highest level. I don't even want to know the percentage at the amateur level, the high school level, or the college level. If your highest level is 60%, then I can't expect a better ref calling at the lower level. And plus, some of these referees are, if not all, I'm just being funny here, are human beings. They could be having a bad day. But this is your opportunity to show that integrity I'm talking about as a coach for your team and also for your parents, right? That referee may not be having a bad day, and you can change that referee's day by just being positive. Yes, the calls may not be correct, or they may have missed a call, right? But you staying positive, your team's going to follow suit. Your parents are going to follow suit. But if you do the negative, if you do the opposite, your team is going to follow suit. Your parents are going to follow suit. So you want to have something, for example, like a circle of affirmation. You want to have a positive reaction to what the referees do, right? Don't be overcritical of the referees, and don't bring a lot of confrontation out, open confrontation with the referees in front of your team, in front of your parents, because they're going to follow. Here's a little example with this diagram here of circle of affirmation. Let's say the referee makes a call. you give a positive response to the referee. So the parents are going to follow, right? The parents are going to follow suit the way you're handling yourselves. And then also the children are going to follow right behind that. They're going to have this creation of respect for the authority figure, which is the referee. More than likely, when you're doing that, you're probably going to get more calls, right? You're going to get a higher percentage of calls going your way, especially when you're showing grace. If there are some calls, referees are human. They know when they make mistakes. But when, the same way the Lord shows us grace, we should follow suit with that with the referees. All right. I'm not saying I've never had a technical foul, but I'm saying I've learned from it, and I've learned that these referees are human beings and they want to be respected just as much as anybody else. So please make sure your game day attitude is positive and not overcritical or over confrontational, especially in front of your teams and your parents. So a little bit of a practice breakdown. So in your coach playbook, there's a practice section that has an explanation of how the practices can be arranged, how they go. If there are any tips that you're looking for, they'll be in the practice, in the coach playbook, in the practice section. So make sure you take time after this to really break down what you're looking for in your practice, really skim through that section, make notes on what we explained for the practice section, and also make notes about your experience and what you like for your practice. That's a way of being organized early. So that way, if you do have any questions, you're able to ask them early before your practice or your season starts. So we have a couple coach resources here. You can find your weekly practice plans, your devotion, all your devotion materials, some resources for practice and game day within myupward.org. You can download and print these resources. And this is where you'll set up your account to access the Upward Coach Portal. Now, this is new. Instead of the app, we have an Upward Coach Portal that includes your text and email features to communicate with players and parents. Your practice plans are HTML. They are within that coach portal now. Your skills and drills videos are within that coach portal as well, where you're able to actually pull it up on your phone and actually see the skills and drills videos while you're in practice if need be, or prior when you're organizing. And you also have some game day management tools, your substitutions, etc., within that coach portal. So you're able to find all these resources for practicing game days within that portal, which will be hands-on and you're able to utilize during practicing games. And then also you'll have the coach playbook, which is another great resource. You can print a copy out. It gives you skills and drills as well. Your devotions, rules, your rotation for your substitutions, and some forms for game day for your team. So here's an example, a little image here of what the coach portal looks like. As you see, there's different columns here. We have a getting started column, which gives you a basic, like an introduction for your season. You have your team column here, gives you your roster, your schedule, and some details of your team. Your practice resources, that's where you'll find the practice plans. Okay, you'll find the practice plans, you'll find the individual devotions, you'll have the skills and drills there with links to videos for you to pull up, and you'll also have rules. So if you have any trouble, the rules are also there in the practice resources that you can pull up game day if need be, to not have a confrontational reaction with referee, or in practice to remind a player or also another team you may be scrimmaging or so. And also you have a column there for communication, text and email communication tools, again, to be able to connect with possibly coaches, but with your parents and your players. So some ministry touch points here. All right. So midpoint of every practice, from 5 to 7 minutes, this is the time for your practice devotion. All right. This is your biblical lesson here that's applied to life, right? That you can apply to your team for that 5 to 7 minutes. Really take time to break down that devotion and answer any questions. I know it's not a lot of time, but I'm telling you, if you plant that seed day one, these kids are going to come back prior to practice, after practice, pull you to the side, possibly going home, more than likely asking their parents these questions. Now you have an opportunity to answer questions from parents that may have a question about the devotion presentation. So really make sure you're focusing on that devotion here and plant that seed for the player for the rest of the season, every 5 to 7 minutes during that devotion time. And also each week, each player will receive a green practice sticker star for their participation in that practice huddle. Okay, they'll also receive a colored game day star for their efforts in a game. So there's different efforts and different colors for different efforts that these kids can receive on game day stickers. So, this is something that they can receive, and you really want to focus on giving that as well, because that allows the confidence to build in that player as they progress throughout the season to really perform a little more, or really focus on what you're teaching in practice to receive that certain game day star, sticker star. And also in the ministry touch point, you have, practice cards and a gospel video, right? These gospel videos are available to be sent to parents via email. There are 3 to 4 different gospel videos that you're able to share with these parents and also these players. So really take time to present it to the parents. And more importantly, you're probably going to have some feedback from the parents or the players wanting to know more after that gospel video. So there's a couple rules just to emphasize on this upward flag football. There's 3 of them that I want to focus on, which is number 1, the illegal pass. Okay, so a pass can't be thrown beyond the line of scrimmage more than 1 forward pass, more than 1 backward pass, or a pass not completed beyond the line of scrimmage to advance out of the no-run zone. Okay, I'm gonna repeat that again. So a pass thrown from beyond the line of the scrimmage, more than 1 forward, more than 1 backward, or a pass not completed beyond the line of scrimmage to advance out of the no-run zone. The penalty is 5 yards from the line of scrimmage, and you'll also lose a down. Okay. Number 2 is offensive charging. Man, I've seen this a lot last year. I mean, these kids are relentless with this. So the offensive charging occurs when the offensive player doesn't make an attempt to avoid the defenders. I mean, they just Marshawn Lynch their way through a kid's chest. Okay, I've seen kids' chest cave in left and right one time. We had to pull the coach to the side. I'm like, Coach, he's over here, Jerome Bettis and these kids. He's the bus. And the coach was like, I don't know what to do. But this is the part where you have to realize the rules. This is something you go over in practice prior to the game, so that way it doesn't get out of hand and nobody gets hurt. Now, with this penalty is 10 yards from that spot of the foul, and you will also lose a down as well. And then lastly, out of the 3 is shielding, right? No contact block. It stops the defender from making the tackle. This could be, this could be other offensive players running immediately side by side in front of or behind the ball carrier to impede defenders from making tackle, right? Just basically blocking the way. This penalty is 5 yards from that spot of the foul, and it's also a loss of down. So next slide is game day substitutions. And the substitution system provides equal opportunity for all the players to have playing time in the game, right? In the game section of your coach playbook, it explains all this of the substitution system. So please go to the coach playbook and take your time reading that so you can understand the system and why the system's applied for this league. So every player will play at least 1/2 of the game, and they shouldn't sit out more than 1 period at a time, okay? So at least 1/2 of the game, cannot sit out more than 1 period at a time. And then the starting lineup will shift down 1 player every game. So that gives the opportunity for every player in your team to start within that season. Okay. Please don't deviate from the rotation. I believe you probably won't. Your league's probably not going to do that, but I've seen coaches try to switch up the lineups as the weeks go on to make sure their better players are getting more reps in the starting lineup. We just want equal opportunity here for players to have playing time. All players have an equal playing time. So please don't deviate from the rotation. Please follow the rotation guidelines. And then also, within that coach portal, it makes the substitutions easier. So please, there's a column there earlier in that diagram where you go within the coach portal, and it allows you to make the substitutions a little easier. So here's the game day stars I was talking about earlier. So these are multicolored stars. There's stickers that you give out at the end of each game. You have your assistant coach or parent, take notes during the game, possibly, that allows you, to coach the game, but then at the end, they can kind of give you an idea of what they saw of what child should receive which sticker star. You know, you may be able to delegate where it goes, but more importantly, they can remind you, hey, Billy had this, or Sarah did this during the game, and it reminds you, you know what, Sarah does deserve the defense star. So please have an assistant coach or a parent take notes during the game. And these stars are in the award star booklet, and they can be tracked in the coach playbook or in that coach portal. So as you see on the screen, the blue star is for effort. The gray or silver star is for offense. Your red star is for defense. Yellow star is for sportsmanship. And your white star is for Christ likeness. So we're at the end of the presentation here. Before I end the presentation here, I want to let you know your point of contact for questions is Miss Ashley. And here's the email below at sports@northsidebaptist.org. You should receive this PowerPoint from your league director. And then also what I'll do is I'll have my contact sent to this league director as well, for he or she can give you my contact information. So you can email me if you have any questions after this presentation in the future. But I want to open this column here for anybody who has any questions here. So I'm going to be quiet on my end and allow the floor to be yours for any questions that you may have for me to answer. Any questions? All right, I see we don't have any questions, David.
All right, man. Hey, I want to go over a couple of points.
All right.
And you're welcome to stay with us, or you can, go on or off. My first point is that we are going to provide a PowerPoint presentation in some type of form for all of you guys so that you'll be able to go over this. My goal in this is to also send a copy of this recording to everyone so that we're all consistent and across the board knowing what we're doing. The second thing is, if you have any of those stories like he shared about, a child's life that was changed or a relationship that you made, is my desire to put together some videos this season to really build our league up with coaches and participation. And so what I'd like to do is just have like a short, just think of it as like a 30-45-second video of you telling a story about a life that was changed. Just one of the ones that comes to mind is Drew Cawthon. Coach Greg, who coaches with the NCAA now. I think he's still with the NCAA. I'm pretty sure he's still at the NCAA. I saw him there the other day. Coach Greg and Drew were just standing on the sidelines, and I was able to get Drew to help me out as he was kind of rambunctious. And it turned into a thing where Drew gave his life to Christ, and he was baptized, and both his mom and dad were as well. So that entire family made a change there. Greg and Natalie actually became, not only is Greg a coach with NCAA now, but Greg and Natalie also became small group leaders in our church because of the impact that was made through Upward. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm looking for people to tell the story of the success of the Upward program. The second thing that I know that's new this year that you haven't had the opportunity to use in the past is the video devotion piece. We've not used that a lot in the past, and I encourage you to use your own words versus using the video, because it's going to be a small phone situation anyway. But I would encourage you to spend a little time just watching that video, and it'll help you make a better presentation to the kids and families. I want everyone to do their devotion at the right time. So when you start seeing kids and see players sitting down from other teams, I want you as a coach to sit down as well. Don't say, well, we're going to do our devotion on the end today. We're going to try to make room. Now, everybody does it at the middle, halfway of the practice. The reason is because that is a clear indicator to all the parents that we take this seriously. And I think for me, that's one of the biggest things, is to let parents know that. Game day, we have one difference from our league than a couple of differences really. First difference is that we keep a central game clock on all of our fields. There will be 3 games go on simultaneously with our 4th and 5th grade. There will be 2 games simultaneous with 2nd and 3rd. Both of those keep what's called a central game clock. So we do not do the fields at different speeds. The fields will all be calling halftime at the same time. They'll all be starting at the same time. If you need a little extra time for something like particularly on plays, I want you guys to please keep that in mind. And, you know, if you have to call a time for something really quick, just be fast. I don't want that to be something that you string out a long time. And that means preparation. Everyone will turn in your game day roster. So when you have a substitution system, the only way you're going to keep it working is if we keep everyone accountable. As you come in every time, we'll put a PDF available to you that you can either print out or have a copy at our field. And you will just simply take that PDF and you will print it out. You'll fill it out and turn it in at the sound table. What that does is it lets us know that you're giving every kid equal playing time on game day. I feel so strongly that the key to this is not necessarily winning the game, but winning the hearts and minds of the children. Something about our faith says something about the first will be last and the last will be first. So you can take that as you want to, but the point of the matter is every kid's going to have a great experience in this season if I can keep that happening. All right. Another thing that I want to encourage you to do is practices will be starting on time and ending on time. A lot of times, and I'm just going to tell you from the bottom of my heart, a lot of times people come to me and say, "Hey, can we make up a practice that we missed?" That's a yes. Can we get an extra practice in? That's a no. The difference is that I don't want coaches who come out Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, try to pick up something on Saturday. I've got coaches that want to do that, and I applaud your effort, but not every coach is able to do that. And for everyone to be equal and to have equal time, if you would please just honor us in that respect, particularly if you have to miss a practice. And I know that crazy stuff happens. We had some rainouts in the past that make you remember in 2015 it was October that we had the floods. That was during the upward flag football season. So you guys, we got rained out time and time again that season. And I just want to encourage you that we make a practice up if we get a rain out. We don't have extra practices. Another thing that I would like to explain is something unique to our league, very unique. And it's that we have a Northside person on the team as far as on the coach team. Now, here's the deal. If a Northside person is the lead coach, which that's a great word. I don't care what word you want to use it. If you want to use head coach, if you want to use lead coach, if you want to use field coach, I don't care what word you want to use. If they are, then there's no need for another Northsider to be in that coaching staff. But if that person that's going to be the lead coach is not a Northside member, not an active Northsider, then what we have is there's someone on that team that we call the team manager. That person will be responsible for making sure that the standards of the ministry of Northside are upheld. There's going to be sides that are sports and there's going to be sides that are ministry, and we have to mend those together in the middle. And how we do that effectively is we try to guarantee that the kids are going to get a good experience. And, you know, there's a lot of leagues out there. There's a lot of opportunities for people to play in different sports. I want to encourage you that we are using that system. So there will be a Northsider either as the manager position or as the head coach. I don't really care much about those words: head coach, assistant coach, lead coach, field coach. Those words all mean I'm a person who's impacting children. And for me, it's important that all those people be quality people and put on the field their best foot forward. Now, that's all that I had as far as additional comments. Ashley, can you think of any other additional items we've missed?
The one thing that we changed was that all practices are going to be from 6:30 to 7:30. We're not going to do the 7:30 to 8:30
Okay.
Practices. So, and I'll send an email out because I know not everybody's on here.
Okay.
But I'll be sending out the coach portal information soon. I'm not going to send that out until I get teams made, because I don't want anybody to, start contacting team members before it's 100%. But I mean, I think other than that, that's all I've got.
By the way, folks, that's Ashley that was just speaking there. I'm David. We work together to try to help that, but I want you to understand something as we get started. You know, Ashley has a family to have to deal with. I have other things to have to deal with. We try our best to return all of the emails. If you want to get in touch with us, the best way is sports@northsidebaptist.org. That's sports@northsidebaptist.org. Let's try not to use that old nbcupward@gmail.com. We're going to try to keep consistent in the sports email because Ashley and I both get that. So if you got something, you know, that's pretty important, you know, you can email me, dford, instead of sports@northsidebaptist.org, and I will try to help you with that. But Ashley generally works Mondays, Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays and Thursdays, but she only gets probably 3 days a week. And especially when games start, it's going to be a little tight. So just letting you know that. So if you email us on Sunday at 2:00 in the afternoon, there's a good chance you won't hear anything till maybe Monday or Tuesday when she gets in the office to be able to tell those kind of things. If you make a change in practice, we need to be notified. You need to notify Ashley, hey, we're not going to practice this week because something's come up. But we know those things understood, but you can't just show up and say, hey, guess what? We're coming today. You'll have to get permission to move practices. We will have a following, that's the wrong word. We will have another Zoom call, and that will be for our referee training. And that will come up closer to our first game in October. So make sure that if you can have an opportunity to do that, to join us for that call for the training, we would appreciate it. And there will be, just to let you know, there's going to be 2 hours of games. There's going to be 8:30 games and a 10 o'clock games. And that will be determined here pretty quick about which one will play at what hour. I would probably assume that the older league, the 4th and 5th, will play at the 10 o'clock. All right. Does anyone else have any questions? Man, look forward to having a great season this season. We're going to be doing some really great football. We love flag football. It's one of our favorite things. I love to see those kids running up down the field with their little those red flags full of stars. They need to have their name on them. So make sure when the first thing you do when you hand out gear is to do that. And we'll do our best. Just a coach note. That reminds me, Ashley, we have to kind of go over this. Just one coach note about this is that it takes a little bit longer with the new system, be able to get uniform and changes, shirt changes, that kind of thing. Yeah. So please be quick about letting us know if you have team, if there's a kid on your team that immediately has the wrong size shirt, man, we got to turn that around fast because our order time is not as fast as it used to be. And so that's kind of slowed us down. All right. Well, let me pray with us. That'd be okay. Let me pray and we'll end this meeting if there's no further questions. All right. Well, bow with me. Father in heaven, we come before you because upward means that there's kids coming to the fields. And Lord, it means that there's so many people that are coming that will maybe, Lord, have a connection to someone who doesn't know you. And maybe this will be the season that they'll get to hear it. I pray, Lord, for strength for the coaches. I pray that you send us the coaches that we need to be able to make everything just work as smooth as clockwork. Lord, I pray for strength for the guys and gals, because I know that as they begin to coach, there's going to be distractions. Satan is going to try his best to make flat tires and cars that won't start and traffic jams and everything, Lord. But we thank you that you're in charge and you're in control. Now, Lord, bless us as we go forth, help us to be witnesses for you in everything we say, think, and do. And it's in your name we pray. Amen. Hey, drive by the fields, guys. The new signs are getting ready to go in, getting the new field signs out on the road. They've cut a lot of trees. You probably won't even recognize the place. They look cool. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, David.